Hey, Pop Girlie Nation, I have a question for you all. Do you really want to know where we were April 29th? Well, let me tell you, recording this podcast,
That's
then,
right.
and that's the
That is
truth.
right.
Today's April 29th, and we're talking about the one and only.
Mimi and Midnight by
So
Taylor Swift.
I think I need some clarity on that actually. Does she say meet me at midnight or meet me at midnight?
Correct.
Mimi at
Plural.
Midnight. Mimi at Midnight.
Singular.
Okay.
Singular.
Grammatically correct.
Because that's what I always thought, but I'm like, what if I was wrong?
No, Meet Me at Midnight. And then she says the word Midnights other times in the album. Like she
Yes.
says it in Antihero when she goes, Midnights become my afternoon. And then
Right.
in Midnight
Right.
Rain, well, she says Midnight Rain, obviously, midnight, midnight, midnight. But then the word Midnights at the end, and I never think of him except in
Midnight's
Midnights
love.
like this.
Oh,
Yep.
Honestly, I view Midnight Rain as kind of like the title track. I kind of like, I feel like it's, songs that like, when albums don't have title tracks, but songs that like feel like they could be title tracks or like
Yeah.
kind of are, like I feel like it serves the same purpose as a title
yeah.
track would because I mean it has the a variation of the title in its name, and I feel like it kind of sums up the core theme of the record, which is these like nocturnal ruminations because she literally goes, I only think of him in the middle of the night.
Yeah. Wow.
Oh, you don't know how much I've been looking forward to Levi's dissertation on Midnights, like all week.
Well, I will say I downloaded because I make sure that my prep docs are like in theme, and so I made sure I made it midnight blue, and then I downloaded Helvetica, the font,
Oh,
to my Google Docs.
yeah.
It's like the most pleasing font to look at. It's so
That's
no,
huge.
I love it. It's also going to be interesting too because there's just I feel like with every Taylor album, there's just like so much to talk about. Like there's a huge chunk of it that I didn't include in like my write up, which I felt like we'd talk about it more just like in the discussion. Um, but it's just kind of I don't know. I feel like Taylor always there's just because the lore is built so much and the lore is so intertwined with the music that there's just so much to discuss with her when it comes to her. So,
Totally.
before we get into that though, should we do some ha hot tracks?
I think we should do our hot
Sure.
tracks.
Okay, who's sizzling first?
I'll
Drew.
sizzle first.
Oh, Maria.
Oh,
I nominate myself because I'm that girl.
Oh,
So I
okay.
don't know. I'm just saying stuff. So, so my hot track is going to be very heavily influenced by our text conversations from yesterday. Because if you can believe, we are talking a whole lot about Madonna yesterday. No one
That's
was
so
surprised.
shocking.
That's yeah, I mean, come on. But we were all like very much in a confessions mood yesterday. And I think yesterday I listened to I Love New York like 10 times.
Wait, is that
So
your favorite song? No,
off
your
of
favorite song
no.
Confessions?
is
You're such a jump girl.
well, no,
I
I
don't
thought it was Future Lovers.
I, I wouldn't say Future Lovers is my favorite.
Oh.
I feel like this is it's one that
That's
I
you.
No,
No, I'm
Future
just
Lovers
kidding.
isn't my
I'm
favorite.
just kidding. I'm just kidding. Your face, so you went, oh.
Well, because I feel like we've had a conversation about Future Lovers being your favorite.
I think like my upon my first listen, I think it was definitely in my top three.
But
Um
now she hates it.
But now she wants it to get tarred and feathered.
what the heck? No.
Future
But
haters.
future haters. But no, no, no. So honestly, like I couldn't tell you right now which one's my favorite because I feel like this one it's like super variable for me. But it was also a funny moment yesterday was Drew sends Let It Will Be and then he goes, "Why is this kind of the best song in Madonna's discography?" And then it took exactly 5 seconds for both Levi and I to respond saying, "No, it's not."
Yeah, I mean,
Oh,
love it, but let's just like be tethered to reality for a moment. I wouldn't even put like I love that song. I don't even know if it's in my top half on Confessions. Well, think
Whoa,
about the
whoa.
models. Think about the supermodels on that track list. Think
I
about
yeah.
we got Sorry, Get Together,
Hung up.
Jump,
You love Get
Huh.
Together.
I
That's got to
I
be in your top three.
oh it is. I
Top two. Top one.
love Get Together.
Yeah.
It's also so funny when Levi sends Get Together lyrics out of context because I think I'm like, oh, he's asking to hang out. And
I really
I'm
want to
like,
be
oh,
with you.
fuck.
Can we get together?
Can we get together?
Like that's happened a couple times, and I was like
No,
unprompted. Can we get
girl,
together? I'm like,
I
Oh,
just
I'm
want to be
free.
alone as fuck listening to Madonna.
Oh,
fair.
so
I
yeah.
American lifed this morning though on the treadmill.
Oh,
And
so
then
all of
Oh,
it
also on the
or
treadmill, I watched our Australian YouTuber that we like react to American Life.
love that one's so good.
It's his best. It's so good.
the video where he reacts to the American Life era music videos is
It
so funny.
he's so deep into the American Life lore. He loves American
Yes.
Life.
Oh my gosh. So funny.
Okay,
We should
so
have
I love.
invited him to the Truth or Dare screening.
Yeah, we should have.
I would have paid for his ticket, not gonna lie.
Girl, I would sponsor his visa. Okay,
Okay, okay,
Drew,
okay.
what is your sizzling track? So Maria loves New York. What do
Yep.
you do?
So I'm kind of in anticipation that Levi is going to choose a hot track that I have been
Yes,
listening to nonstop.
yeah, I
So I'm not
am.
gonna do that.
I am.
I'm gonna let Levi have his moment.
Thank you.
Um, so I'm gonna go with something a little left field. So I was texting the Pop Girlies like last week, and I was like, I really want to have like a brat summer, like for no fucking reason. Um, but I was kind of getting the reason I said that I was getting into the remix album a lot. And I am so we didn't really talk about this song in our Brat episode, so that's why I wanted to bring it today. But the I think about it all the time
I knew you were going to say that. Why did
remix,
I know you were going to say that?
so good.
It's so good.
When Charlotte is like, I found love, babe. Do you think that's her singing?
I mean, I would be surprised if there wasn't any like vocal editing on it.
Well, whoever it is singing that note,
I
it,
found love, baby.
it's so good.
It's really good. I mean,
So yeah.
I I feel like the two best on the Brett remix album are the Club Classics remix and the Talk Talk and Everything is Romantic.
Well, girl's so confusing.
Well, girl, so confused. You,
Oh,
Maria, you think
BB
that
tricks.
that is some crazy ass meth shit? Are you like tweaking out? What's happening?
I'm scared of her right now.
I'm honestly being serious. I like never listened to the Girl So Confusing remix.
Okay, Levi, what's your hot track?
Well, on that note, my hot track is motherfucking Lord's Return because I put respect on deities, unlike some sacrilegious people blasphemy.
That's
Ugh,
kind of that's kind of crazier than any take I've ever had.
that's literally the craziest thing I've ever heard, Maria. That's
But
the
we love
craziest thing.
you and we
I mean,
worship.
I love you, I accept you, but like, you gotta have an exorcism. That is some insane shit. Well, anyways, yeah, my hot track is the incredible new song released by Lorde. What was that? Off of her upcoming fourth studio album. I absolutely adore it. It has been like pretty much all I've been listening to. It is already just within days of release my third most listened to song of the year, only after Down Bad and Greatest Day from Honora. That's my top three.
Oh
And
my
you
God, that's
know,
so crazy.
that kind of the song that doesn't make the most sense is Down Bad, which is
Yeah,
weird.
which is weird. Um, but no, it's like the only thing I can listen to. What was that is giving me everything. I think it is Lorde doing what she does best, which is achieving catharsis. The greatest Lorde songs are an experience and a ritual of catharsis. And like the release that I feel listening to that song is so incredible. I think it is. her kind of back in like her bag a bit. I mean, I love solar power. I'm a huge solar power defender, but I think it kind of is like I think it's a little bit more in her sweet spot and less like her venturing out. But I do want to push back against the assertions by brain dead idiots that it's just reheating the melodrama nachos because that I just don't think that's true at all. Just because something has a synth does not mean that it's the same as another thing that has a synth. Trust me, I would know. And we'll be talking about that later on with this album today, an album that people like to say, "Oh, it's just 1989 again." No. It's no one with the brain thinks that. It drives me crazy. And I think that what was that is a lot ganglier and sparser than melodrama. If that was a melodrama song, there would be like more background vocals. There would always be something going on. The beats would be different. They'd, I think, be more like hip hop influenced. The synths would sound different. There wouldn't be that like guitar strum at the center. It just would all be different. And I think the songwriting is a little looser. The stanzas aren't as, the
I was
melodies
gonna
aren't as tight.
say, yeah, the lyrics are completely different.
Yeah, it's honestly you can tell she went to the solar power because I think it has that kind of like looser
Yeah.
flowing quality that solar power
Well,
did.
I only got some like I only saw similarities in like literally just the beginning. Like it does kind of sound like Supercard in the beginning, but the song goes in a completely different direction. But I
I
was
don't
like, it honestly seems like it was intentional to do that at the beginning and then like take you in a different,
Yeah, I don't get people saying
I
she's
don't
just
know.
doing melodrama again. I feel like
No, I don't either.
I kind of feel like people can't be pleased because also I was there for melodrama. People did not like Greenlight at first. Everyone's talking about like Greenlight was this instant smash classic, which it was for me, but for the majority of the Neanderthals in the world, it was not. It was not. People were complaining, booing, hissing, throwing tomatoes. Meanwhile, I was screaming in my car. Yeah, I was.
Was the
With the
radio
radio
up?
Don't
up.
you? That you said that you were that you're not in love, but you're not in love. No, the
That
radio
drag
wasn't
or
up
that
because
lip sync on Drag Race.
I was literally about to
oh
say the
my
same
god,
thing.
I
Bendela
forgot they do
versus
that.
Kennedy.
That's so
Oh,
random. But yeah, so that's my hot track. What was that? So good. I
you
love
know
you.
that like the that organic kind of wow wow. That's what sounds like melodrama to me. But it's I don't
Oh,
think it's
really?
yeah. But it's not like regressive, you know. But
Well,
yeah.
Maria, you haven't listened to melodrama, I thought.
Well, I haven't listened to the whole thing, but that just like gives me the vibe.
Okay.
I just feel like maybe I shouldn't ever talk about Lord until we talk about her in an episode. So maybe I'll shut up.
Well, no. I mean, you guys have the same hair. People say that you're alike.
Yeah.
I
People
just
say
can't
we're
believe you.
like,
I just can't believe you disrespected "Girl So Confusing" Lord remix like that. Like that's
I'm
really
not,
just what
that's
I'm on.
no, I'm not even, I'm just like, it's not, I like others more. I'm allowed to like others more than it.
No, I make the rules in this one. That's
I'm
not
not
the
gonna
rule.
pretend that I listen to it all the time because I just don't.
Girl, her Midnight's rating is just going down and
I
down
know
and
it's going
down and
down and down and down and down the more that we
Out of
speak.
spite.
It's gonna be the first album to get zero to infinity.
down.
Midnight's gets up 0.1.
I I can't tell you the unchristian like things I would say. I it would be bad for everybody.
It would be bad. It would be bad.
Well, let's not dwell on the negatives. Let's pretend that it is dark outside, it is nighttime, and oh my God, the clock says 11:59 and it's ticking and it's ticking. Oh, girl, guess what it
The
says?
Beast.
Girl, you can't hide who you are. 11:59.
Well, and because you want to, what else is happening? 1 minute. Oh,
For
it's 12 a.m. And guess who we're meeting? Me. You're meeting me
me.
at midnight.
Guess
Yeah,
what? You get to meet me at
me
midnight.
at
The
midnight.
Beast at
Yeah, the
midnight.
beast. The beast is lurking in that lavender haze, baby.
Oh,
Oh,
Hiding out. That
fuck, you got
I
me,
see the
girl.
world that we're building here, and I really like it.
I do too. I mean, you changed the production a little bit on How Bad Do You Want Me, and that's a midnight song.
Yeah,
And like you
I
make
can
her
see that.
like you just like make the distort the vocals a bit because she loved doing that here.
Make it a
Um,
little glitchy, make it a little bit more fuzzy. a little bit
Yeah.
more synthy.
Because to me, it gives more like 1989, like vault track, the way that it is in its current shape, the real
Right.
official shape. It could be
Right.
Midnight Song. Anything could be a Midnight Song if you believe hard enough. You slap some reverb on that, you put some synth on, make it moody. It's Midnight's.
The Till Dawn
Till
forever,
dawn, late night, 3 a.m., uh,
Eternity edition.
eternity, 152 edition.
Yeah. Lovely.
O- Okay. Should we get into this?
Yar.
So,
Yes.
Midnight's as the album we're discussing, if you weren't able to deduce that. Background for the record, Midnight's is the 10th studio album by Taylor Swift. It comes in a period of hyper productivity for Taylor. So in 2022, she obviously releases her two pandemic era alternative albums, Folklore and Evermore, which were surprise releases. 2021, she began her journey reclaiming the ownership to her first six albums by releasing Fearless Taylor's version and Red Taylor's version. The success of these efforts, and I would say specifically like Red and the All Too Well 10-minute version kind of smashery, teed her up for a big era whenever she would decide to release next and whatever she decided to do. And, there were a lot of theories going around at this time of, oh, 1989 is coming next, Speak Now is coming next, whatever. Well, the beginning of 2022 was mostly silent. There were occasional paparazzi photos of her going in and out of Electro Lady Studios in New York City, which is her and Jack's favorite place to work. She received an honorary doctorate from NYU and spoke at a graduation service in May. And in that speech, she actually included lyrics from Midnight's as little Easter eggs. Uh, in the modern age of Taylor, she doesn't really give interviews, and so there's just not like a ton of information to pull with like the creation of the record. But per her social media post when the album was released, she gave us the most concrete account of the album's creation. So she had been working with longtime collaborator and friend Jack Antonoff, just toying, in her words, toying with ideas. But the album began to seriously start coming together in late 2021 when Joe Alwyn, Taylor's then boyfriend, and Margaret Qualley, Jack's then girlfriend and now wife, began filming a movie together in Panama. And so, in Taylor's words, quote, Jack and I found ourselves back in New York alone, recording every night, staying up late, and exploring old memories and midnights past. So, getting into the record itself, Midnights is Taylor's return to pop music after the alternative, indie, folk inspired Folklore and Evermore. The primary genres I would say are synth pop, dream pop, bedroom pop, and electro pop. Additionally, there are influences of straight up electronica, R&B, and hip hop. The production, honestly, I would say is one of the most striking, if not the most striking thing about the record. I think it has a lot of character. It's moody, electronic, and synthetic. It is largely mid-tempo album. The tracks often incorporate sparse drum machines, heavy bass, and analog synths. A major character trait of Midnight's is the usage of manipulated vocals. So Taylor's used vocoder in the past, most notably on Reputation, but Midnight's prominently features electronically manipulated vocals on songs like Midnight Rain, Labyrinth, and Dear Reader. Overall, the music has a chill, nocturnal atmosphere. Midnights is also a loose concept album exploring 13 sleepless nights. During the lead up to the album, Taylor identified five core themes explored: self hatred, revenge fantasies, wondering what might have been, falling in love, and falling apart. Additionally, I would like to add in some themes of like childhood trauma and like childhood wounds and fame, but in a different way than she had previously written about it. In a lot of the work which she's writing about fame, she's writing it present tense, her experiencing celebrity. But what I think is interesting in Midnight's is there are multiple songs about her trying to become famous and her ambition and journey to becoming who she is, which I think is really, really interesting. And it kind of, I think, adds a new layer in a, to this narrative of fame that she's explored that she hadn't explored prior to this. Midnight's is an amalgamation of reflections on past experiences and memories, as well as musings on her then current life. In comparison with the narrative driven direct songwriting of previous works, I would say that Midnight's is more abstract and opaque, which is something I find really interesting about it, especially in conversation with the other records. And in conversation with what was happening in her life at the time, which we would find out later, which that's kind of what I'm gonna save to talk about in like the discussion breakdown. But it's a kind of a shifty album, which I think is interesting. I think it kind of changes what it's about depending on where you're looking at it. Lyrically, the album is full of evocative phrases, striking metaphors, and a dry sense of humor. Although they had been working together since 2014's 1989, this is the first record with only Taylor and Jack as the primary collaborators. A lot of the times he was just on for like a few tracks. He did the majority of Lover. He did like a little less than half of Folklore. He was only in one song in Evermore. That's the smallest amount he's ever contributed to an album. And then directly from Evermore, this is them working together doing the entire thing. Lana Del Rey is featured on the track Snow on the Beach. Soundwave, Jahan Sweet, Sam Dew, Zoe Kravitz, William Bowery, and Keanu Beats feature as additional collaborators on the main track list. Aaron Dessner is a collaborator on the 3 a.m. tracks, which we will get into in a second. So, the release of the album. The album was released on October 21st, 2022. The standard edition has 13 songs. Prior to the album's release at midnight Eastern Standard Time, of course, midnight, Taylor had teased of a chaotic 3 a.m. surprise on album release night. And so at 3 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, a surprise 3 a.m. edition of the record was released with 7 additional songs, and these are largely made with Aaron Dessner. A Target Deluxe edition was released that features the song Hits Different as well, which both Jack and Aaron collaborated with Taylor on. On May 26, 2023, she released a Till Dawn edition featuring Hits Different, a Karma remix with Ice Spice, and a Snow on the Beach featuring more Lana Del Rey. Also on May 6th, a CD edition called the Late Night Edition was released exclusively at the Eras Tour merch stands featuring the new song You're Losing Me. You're Losing Me was eventually released digitally on November 29th, 2023. The lead single was Antihero, followed by the singles Lavender Haze and Karma. Antihero debuted at #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 and stayed on top for 8 weeks, which is Taylor's longest reign on the Billboard Hot 100 to date. The album was a commercial smash, debuted on top of the Billboard Hot 200 with first week units of 1.578 million, consisting of 1.14 copies sold and 549.26 million streams. It was the first album to debut with over a million copies since her own Reputation in 2017. It was her largest debut sales week until 1989 Taylor's version passed it the following year. It also became the most streamed album in one day on Spotify, debuting with 184,695,609 streams. This record would be passed by the Tortured Poets Department in 2024. To support the album, Taylor launched the Eras Tour in 2023. So, starting in March of that year and ending in December of 2024, the tour went on to have 149 shows. It went to 5 different continents, and it became the first tour to gross both $1 billion and $2 billion. It is the highest grossing tour of all time. So, reception of the record. The album received critical acclaim upon its release. It has an 85 on Metacritic, which is a great score. Her songwriting, as always with Taylor, is the most consistent source of praise. I really liked this quote from The Guardian that said, quote, "There's a sure-footedness about Swift's songwriting filled with subtle, brilliant touches." I think there's like a confidence to this record and the way that it's written that I think that quote really captures. The production was also warmly received. I will say, though, that there were some quibbles from certain critics about it being maybe similar to previous works and not breaking new ground the way that Folklore and Evermore did. At the 66 Grammy Awards in 2024, Midnight's won the Grammy for Best Pop Vocal Album, and it also won the Grammy for Album of the Year. With the Album of the Year win, she became the first artist to win Album of the Year 4 times, and she holds the record for most wins by an artist in that category. And I think overall, what Midnight's kind of represents as like a career moment, it represents kind of the beginning of an imperial phase of an artist who a lot of people already thought had this crazy peak about like 10 years prior with the 1989 era. She somehow re-peaked, and Midnight's is the album that kind of launched the Eras era. It launched the tour. 2023, she became the first person to be named Time Magazine's Person of the Year who was an artist or in the entertainment industry. Midnight's is the album that kind of like capitalized on all the goodwill she had amassed between Folklore and Evermore and the Taylor's versions, and it just really, I think, catapulted her to that like next level that I would say she's at now. So yeah, it's definitely a big album. I think despite its massive success, I think it is overlooked by a lot of fans. I think that it's not necessarily given all the credit it's owed, which again, I think is partially because of the genre and the production. Um, I think this album is just as complex and as interesting as the alternative albums that precede it and as Tortured Poets that follows it. So I'm very excited to get into it. And like I kind of hinted to and alluded to earlier, I would say there's the added context of her breaking up with Joe Alwyn shortly after the record came out, just a few months after. They broke up in March 2023, right after the Eras Tour had started. And I think that that breakup kind of recontextualized the record for a lot of people. And it kind of made, I think, moments where it sounds like she's not in a happy relationship make more sense. And then additionally, the addition of You're Losing Me added layers to the record because that wasn't a song that we had access to until May 2023. And that was a song that I think a lot of people thought was written post breakup. But then Messy Ass, Jack Antonoff confirmed that it was written in December 2021. So there's a lot of layers to it. And then I would say the kind of additional layer I just want to throw out is I think somebody was swirled into her poems a bit with the context that she had been obsessing and, drooling over Maddie Healy for over a decade. There are moments on this record where, that were question marks, I think, for a lot of fans, and people didn't really know maybe like exactly what she was talking about in certain lyric. Like you'd be like, okay, well, this song is about this person, but, this part doesn't really make sense to me. And it's because somebody was swirled into them. How can you have something that's
Whoa.
clear and direct because they had been tampered with? The evidence had been tampered with. People were swirled into the songs. Uh, like the moment that I kind of came to terms that Question at least has some Maddie Healy and is not just like a Haler return was interesting. The day that I realized that Maroon is probably about Maddie Healy was devastating for me. It was, I can tell you exactly where I was when the thought crossed my mind for the first time. I was walking to one of my favorite coffee shops. I was on Clarendon, pretty close to my house, and I had to stop in the middle of the street. I was like, oh my God, the song Maroon is about Maddie Healy. It honestly, it hit me harder than realizing Cardigan was about him. It was really jarring and devastating in a lot of ways. So,
Can I ask you guys a question?
yeah.
So, how easy is it for you guys to tell like songs that are within the Taylor Swift fictional narrative versus songs that are like directly about herself?
Well, now I'm
When,
like, nothing's fictional. Nothing's 100% fictional.
but also, I don't think, because well, it's interesting. I think, the way that I kind of like to think about it is I'm a fan of Taylor Swift, the character. That's the person I know. Obviously, I don't know Taylor. Like, we're not, I think that we would be BFFs, and I hope to prove that to her at some time. But, I don't know her. Like, I don't know Taylor Swift, the person. I know the character that she has created in her music. And that character is an amalgamation of her real life experiences, but also her thoughts and her feelings. I think that with this record in particular, I would say, in contrast to Folklore and Evermore, which obviously were marketed as like very, very fictional, and I definitely think like it was obvious that there were seeds of truth because inspiration has to come from somewhere. Like people get inspired or like moved by things because they can relate them to their lives. I think it was clear that there were like seeds of that and moments where it was autobiographical. But Midnight's, I would say, is pretty much that my read on it is that it's pretty much like autobiographical, rooted in real life. I don't really think there's
Yeah.
a lot of fiction happening. Is that
Yeah.
the way that you would describe it, Drew?
Yeah. The way I think about like Midnights is when she did that interview on Fallon when it was like coming out.
Yeah.
And he was like, how are you feeling? She's like, well, this time I'm like feeling like really soft and fragile. because like it's so autobiographical. And I felt like that wasn't really how she was talking about like folklore and Evermore when it came out. At
No.
least, yeah.
Well, because like those albums are like, very depression albums. There's a lot of like stuff about mental health, but it was within the context of fiction. And this album, I
Right.
mean, a huge part of it is that thing that she said, falling apart. Like, she does not paint herself as somebody who's in a good place for a lot of this record. And obviously, after the fact, we kind of were able to figure out why. There was a
Yeah.
take that I really, really latched onto when the breakup news hit, when Jover happened. Which, first of all, was one of my favorite days on Twitter. Some of the hardest I've ever laughed has been when Jover happened. I think somebody said they're bombing Cornelia Street, which I thought
Oh,
was so funny.
dude.
Crazy.
Um, but uh Midnight's now kind of is like her looking back at past experiences and trying to figure out why they didn't work to save what was happening and failing in the moment. There's this kind of like tension, I would say, on this record between the past and the present. I think the past is influencing her present day actions a lot on the record. I mean, you see that in the Mastermind bridge when she goes, "No one wanted to play with me as a little kid. So I've been scheming like a criminal ever since to make them love me and make it seem effortless." Like it's the way that the past informs the present is a huge theme and a huge part of this record. And I think that like it explains she's in this relationship that is disintegrating. She's really unhappy. She doesn't know why she's unhappy. The person that she thought she was going to be with forever, it's maybe not going to happen anymore. It makes sense to me that she would retreat into the labyrinth of her mind and, recycle through these old memories. And then there was some swirling as well that was happening because some devious devil reared his nasty ass head into the picture. Like I think the 1975 is so the band in Bejeweled. They have to be the
Oh, it's
band.
so the band.
It's so the band. Because that was also a
Oh,
gaggery because when the album was released, everybody thought that that song was about Calvin Harris, who Maria famously, she had never written a song about Calvin Harris. Like he's been maybe kind of like addressed in other songs, but just as like throwaway
Oh,
details, she's always like kind of alluded to the fact that like she couldn't write about him. And so finally we were like, "Oh my God, like this is finally a song about Calvin Harris." And then realizing, "Wait, no, it's actually about Joe. It's actually a present day song." Um was really, really interesting. And it makes more sense because she, around this time, Jack Antonoff had been working with the 1975 and was brain dead and connecting them again. And there was some swirling happening. There was
well,
some
and don't
swirling.
don't they the 1975, don't they have versions of like songs on Midnights that like she never used? Isn't
Yeah,
that another thing
they
too?
collaborated. Yeah, they collaborated on
Oh,
stuff that
throwing up.
didn't get released, which I'm guessing won't get released now. I'm guessing we're never going to hear those
She's
tracks.
keeping those in the vault.
She burned them, burned the evidence. So, okay. I feel
So
like
much
I
lore.
have yapped enough. Um, I think the way that we're gonna do this is I think we're gonna make it like a Midnight's expert sandwich. So Drew is gonna start Midnight's connoisseur. Then we're gonna have the Midnight's newbie, the Midnight's new kid on the block, if you will, come up, and then we'll go back to the Midnight's mastery. So that's the way that we're gonna do it. Midnight's connoisseur, Midnight's newbie, Midnight's mastery. So
love.
Drew, take
Okay.
it away.
Yeah, so I was obviously very excited for Miss Midnight's. Um, yeah, I mean like Folklore Evermore was like the peak of like my like complete like Swiftie phase. So I was ready for it. Um and yeah, I mean I loved like the lead up to it. I thought she did a really good job at like leaving a lot of what the sound of the album was going to be before because visually it can kind of lead you into a lot of different directions, like the cover and the like photo shoot that goes along with it. Like I don't think it necessarily screams like a pop production per se, and I don't think she gave any of that away. So it was like one of my favorite like listening experiences of a Taylor album because I didn't know what the sound was going to be. And it, to me, felt very experiential and um, yeah, I mean, like it is the same. It's like a mix of so many things, but there's also new moments. Like Midnight Rain is something that she's never done before. Like Vigilante shit is something she's never done before. And I love like an experimental kind of Taylor moment. Like I love her surprising me with her sound. I think that's really awesome. So yeah, I was here for it. And yeah, I mean I was obsessed with it. I mean, it was everything. I I specifically remember the night it came out, like staying up and then knowing that something was going to happen at 3 a.m. And but I remember I had to work the next day because like fuck, like we like this was the era outside of college where we had jobs and couldn't like stay up till like 5 a.m. on release nights. So I was really bummed to wake up the next morning and then see that there were like five other songs or whatever to come out. So really sad about that. But yeah, it was like one of those moments where I was like, whereas like the person that you were standing was like putting out something like it was just like as a stan of an artist, you were like at your high. Like there she's like the most at the time, and I mean she still is like the most famous pop star putting out like an album that every single person in society that you will encounter will listen to and be talking about the next day. Like it was just one of those moments where it was just like so cool to like be listening to it. Yeah, and I mean, I'll get to like, I mean, I there are huge discography highlights on this album, for me. Uh, yeah, I mean, I think my favorite Taylor Swift song of all time is on this album. So, I also like if we're talking about the whole gag of, the whole Matty Healy of it all. Uh, but so Levi's was maroon, where he, had to stop and have his moment.
I know what
Mine was
yours
Miss
is.
Labyrinth.
Yeah.
I mean, to think that like she was re-falling in love with Joe after like they had a fight or some dumb shit. Like, how dumb was I supposed to be to believe this bullshit? And then to find out she's fallen in love with Ratty. Like, come on.
Yeah.
But
It's
yeah,
bad.
and I mean, like seeing the midnight section in the Eras tour was also like so insane. Um, Yeah, and I feel like for the Eras Tour section of it, she did something like very different. Uh, because I mean, it would have been obviously we didn't know the set list before it came out or before she performed it, but I feel like a lot of people before, she went era by era were kind of thinking like maybe it would be kind of like her eras kind of told through midnights in a way or something like that. Um, but there were a lot of songs on here that I would have like loved to see like a full production live, like Maroon or like You're on Your Own Kid that we didn't get. Or like Labyrinth even.
I
Uh
think You're on Your Own Kid is particularly crazy that it wasn't on the set list, considering the
yeah.
friendship bracelet thing. And like one of the
Yeah.
defining characteristics of the tour is the exchange of friendship bracelets, which is like a throwaway line on a song that didn't even make the set list.
Yeah. So it's just like it was really interesting I loved the section of it, but it was just really interesting to see like how you kind of got a glimpse of what her highlights on the album were, which was really interesting. Like she got so into like Midnight Rain and Vigilante shit, which were like at the time were not like things that I immediately thought would be on the set list. So that was and Mastermind also.
Mastermind was the one for me. I was like, what are we doing? Why is this here? I
Yeah,
mean, and
like
I say that, and that has like my favorite choreography in the entire tour. I
yeah,
love the
yeah.
choreography in Mastermind.
Like no complaints, but like it was
It
just
was
really
interesting.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think everybody thought that You're on Your Own Kid was going to be on and Maroon.
The
Like those are the
closer, yeah.
yeah, those are the two big shocks I would say that were not included. And she performed them like a million times as surprise songs.
Yeah. Which like you do get a little bit of the feeling of it, but definitely not as much as like if we would have gotten a full like maroon dance number with her performing it, like come on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Come on. But yeah, no, I'm really excited to get into the like top threes and me's, but that's kind of just what I wanted to touch on for my kind of review.
Amazing. Amazing. Thank you, Midnight's connoisseur, Midnight's expert, K Maria. Where are we meeting you?
I mean, at midnight. Where else, when else would we meet?
The Beast.
No, no time else. No
I mean,
time
I would
else.
probably prefer to meet at 11:59, but I could also be okay with meeting at midnight.
Okay. We'll figure it out.
It's fine. Well, yeah. Okay. So for my experience with Midnights, I did actually listen to it on the Friday release day. I think I maybe listened to like maybe the first three tracks before I went to sleep that night. And as an outsider, I had no idea that something was like known to be happening at midnight. Or no, excuse me, at 3 a.m. So then I woke up and was just like, whoa, oh my gosh. So I remember that workday, listening to the whole thing. And then yeah, I don't know, like there was I don't know, that was so stupid. There was definitely songs that I took from this, but like I didn't revisit a ton of it a whole lot, like just over the couple years that it's been out. Um, but at the time I did have TikTok, like while the Eras tour was going on, so was also just like so exposed to so much content about the Eras tour. I was actually really close to like considering getting like a real resale ticket with my friend who's a huge Swiftie who at the time did not have any ticket for any Eras tour date. She ended up getting to go, which was so special. But I was considering like getting a crazy resale ticket, like just so that she could go. And I was like kind of getting FOMO from the whole like Eras tour of it all. Because it just seemed really cool and really fun. But I mean, as kind of an outsider looking in, and I feel like I say that kind of lightly because there is definitely Taylor Swift that I'm like really attached to. Like, I think we've talked about this before, and it's definitely apparent when we talked about folklore in one of our first episodes. But like Evermore and Folklore are my favorite version of Taylor Swift. Like I listened to those albums so much during the pandemic and really, really love them. And I feel like I have a pretty close, like emotional, personal relationship with those songs. But as far as the actual material that you guys were referencing beforehand that like exists within Taylor Swift, like the character, like things that are more self-referential, autobiographical, I'm not as privy to. I'm not like if I hear her say something that could very well be like, oh my gosh, like she is so totally referencing this thing from 10 years ago. And I'm just like, cool, she's saying something and it's poetic and I'm just along for the ride, you know? So I enjoy a lot of what's happening on Midnights, but all that to say, I don't have the all of the like tools going on in my brain to like understand exactly what's going on the way that a Swiftie would, you know? Um, so with that being said, there I guess I would say that there's misses for me on Midnights, but that's like oh I'm also putting that very lightly because I feel like a lot of the songs that start in a place where I'm not really vibing with it have some sort of really interesting sonic evolution that makes me appreciate it a lot more. Like I would personally say Vigilante Shit is one of them. I am not a huge fan of how it starts, but I think it evolves in a very interesting way and I think sonically it sounds a lot more interesting by the time you get to the end of it. So even the songs that I'm not like super jazzed about have some sort of evolution throughout it where I'm like, oh, like the way that it ended, or maybe it was like the second verse of the bridge, like really won me over. So I can't even really say I like don't like this song. You know what I
Mm.
mean? So there's that, I suppose. But there are songs on here that I am a huge fan of. And I would definitely say I actually didn't really have the understanding that the 3 a.m. tracks were the ones that she worked on with Aaron Dessner. So that is also like telling because I feel like I really like a lot of those ones. I feel like the start of the album, like the very start of it, and then the like towards the end, I'm like, ooh, this is all fun. Um, I would also say, I think aesthetically, the album's super cool. Like I like the fact that it's all like, you know, like thoughts and just like writings and poems, whatever, of like all of my fleeting thoughts, like throughout like the middle of the night. I think that's
Hmm.
like really cool conceptually. And I think this like 70s bedroom lounge kind of visual direction that she went in is really cool. But I know this is gonna be divisive, but I don't like the cover at all.
Oh,
Oh,
Like at all.
like you don't like
what?
the image of her?
I don't like the image of her. I don't like that it's a photo that's oriented to the bottom right of the album cover, and I don't like the font.
Oh, so
I
you
was
hate
gonna say
everything.
I also don't like the font.
I think
Oh,
the font's way too plain to be the album cover font, personally.
I feel the
Like,
same.
but I don't like, I think her makeup in the photo is cool, but I don't know. It doesn't really feel like an album cover photo to me. And I think for what's going on here sonically, like this album sounds so glittery and it has so much depth. And I feel like the image, everything about the image is so plain. And I think all of these other photos of her that they took for the shoot are so cool. And there could have been something a little bit more textured to represent the music on the actual cover that's supposed to sell you on the music. That's just my take.
I I like the image just because like I'm with you. I don't love the cover either. Like it's definitely one of my least favorite Taylor covers. However, I like the image of her a lot. Like I think part of why I don't like it is because I kind of wish it was just the image of her.
Yeah.
I find it really striking. And then I love an image with lore. Like I love how the light kind of represents like she said it like represents to like the idea that would like strike her at like midnight, right?
yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
I love like that. And I think like it's like the glittery that you're kind of like referencing. I think in the makeup it like kind of gives that vibe. I think
Mm-hmm.
that's what at least that's where I feel like they were trying to go for that. But no, I'm with you. I think maybe if it was a different font with all of the names, I would have been into it a little more.
Yeah.
Um,
Or even like, how sometimes people like intentionally make an album cover look like it's like a worn vinyl that's been in a shop for a while and you can see the worn circle on it.
Hmm.
oh,
Like I feel like if they even gave it some sort of like tactile
yeah,
thing on it that made it feel a little bit more like gave it a little bit more depth. But I mean I can
maybe.
definitely appreciate the significance of her with the lighter. I didn't know that. But
Yeah.
yeah.
That's why I love the image with the yeah. I also just don't to me at least like when I saw the cover, I was I think the cover kind of gave me with the text, it kind of gave me a different idea of what the sound was going to be. Like I was kind of thinking maybe this isn't going to be like a pop thing because like it's giving vinyl and I feel like when I mean this might just be me thing, but when I think of like an album that you'd want to listen to on vinyl, it's not something like as electronic as this.
Hmm.
Um, but if I love the image of her though, like if it were just the image of her, it might be one of my favorite Taylor covers. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, something I would say too, because I know Levi, you were kind of talking about some criticism of the album sounding too much like some of her other works and all of that. I mean, as somewhat of a novice Taylor Swift listener, I would also disagree with that. Because I can definitely feel parts of like, oh, okay, like this kind of feels like it could live in like the Folklore Evermore family, or like this kind of sounds like 1989, all that stuff. I feel like while some of that might be true, I feel like while again, like you said, like she's kind of painting herself in like not the best light in this, and it's all just kind of like fleeting thoughts and like just, whatever, this and that. I feel like this album comes across a lot more mature than maybe something like 1989 does, not only sonically, but also from the lyrics and the songwriting. So yeah, gosh, I don't know. I feel like trying to think if I have anything else, but I just feel like our conversations about the track specifically are going to be really interesting.
Yeah.
I have
But
no idea what you're gonna say. I have no read on you.
I'm excited. I feel like we're all gonna be different because it's like such a living, breathing document.
Yeah, I have no idea what you're gonna say, Maria. Truly, I have no idea. I have an idea of Drew because I know we've talked about it before, and like we've done like song sorters and stuff.
yeah,
Genuinely, do not know where you're gonna land.
yeah, I did a song sorter for it, and it was really hard. And there's songs that I really, really love that just like did not make it to the top three, and I'm like kind of torn
That's
about
how I
it.
feel. That's how I feel. I think this is a very, very hard one for me. It's very, very hard.
Yeah. You want to know what else makes like it makes me personally mad? Like that I regret so much that I did not stay up till like 4 a.m. to listen to this because I feel like if I would have, like the 3 a.m. tracks like would poke out at me more.
Drew,
Because I
I
listened to
cannot
the
tell you the experience of being a Swiftie and
would
hearing
have
would
could
have, could have, should have.
yeah.
There, there, like, there are no words to describe the experience. My soul left my body, and my body was gasping for air. It, yeah.
Like I wish I would have known that it was like gonna be something like this. Like I was kind of expecting like maybe like a bonus track or like something like that. Oh, but it makes me so mad because I should have stayed up and listened to all of it at once. So then I could have like had more. I don't know. You
It
know,
was, yeah. I was gagging.
No,
crazy.
I
oh,
still
such a
haven't decided what my number three is. I don't know what it is.
oh,
I'm cycling through like
Beat.
it'll come to me in the moment because I'm
Can't
cycling through
wait.
like 1,000 different songs. There are four. I have four contenders right now for it. My
ugh.
my one and my two are very locked, but I have no idea what the third's going to be. So I'll let you know in the
I can't
moment.
wait to find out.
Perfect.
Um, but yeah, Marie, do you have anything else you'd like to add before I kind of get into my thoughts?
Um, I don't think so. Yeah, I mean, we'll talk about the tracks and all, but yeah, I was really glad to like actually give this entire thing another full listen because the literally the only time I sat and listened to it in its entirety was the day it was released. And obviously listened to other songs here and there, like heard them out and about and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, I mean, I would say like if I could just put Folklore and Evermore as like like just to like to be concise with all of my opinions, like just let's just put both of those in a number one spot for right now. Like Midnight's I think would be like a really firm like runner up to
Oh, cool.
those two albums collectively in like what would be my hypothetical Taylor Swift ranked discography.
Oh, cool. Come on, Midnight.
Come on,
Praise.
Midnights. I mean, yeah, I feel like it's a really cool evolution of her songwriting from more of like that dream pop, bedroom pop kind of feel. Because it's not like so stadium poppy like how 1989 feels. It has some more of that like folk influence. Like it just feels like very distinctly her, while she's also
Mhm.
kind of like grabbing from all these different genres. So yeah. But then again, like there's moments on this where I'm just like, I would never like pick this one out of the crowd to listen to it, but that's just me. So yeah, I think that's all my thoughts.
Okay, perfect. Well, I've loved both of your thoughts. Thank you guys. Um, yeah, I love this album. I love it, 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 love it. Love, 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 love. So, something I was about to say is, well, thinking about this week is I feel like something we talk about just kind of both on our own, but also on the show is like this idea of like what's Drew bait, what's Maria bait, what's Levi bait, like things that like feel so tailored to like somebody's specific taste. And if I'd like boil down like sonically, like what I'm just naturally most drawn to, I would say it is something like Midnight's. that this is really like Levi Bait production. So I had a very interesting first listen experience. The night that this album came out was actually opening night of a play that I was in. And so I was at the theater, finishing the night when it was released. And so we had like a whole kind of plan, or Drew was there actually. And then Alex, my boyfriend, like rushed, like drove me back home so I could get to it as soon as possible so I didn't have to like fight for parking and just go to the album and listen to it. And on the way back, one of my best friends, Irene, texted me and goes, "It's so Levi Bait. Like you're gonna love it." And this like the rich, moody, swirling synths. I love vocal manipulation. I love this like intricate lyricism. Like everything about the sound and the character of this record, I just feel like is so tailored to me. There was also talk about like, I think comparing it with other Jack Antonoff productions, I would say it like exists in a similar world as Melodrama, which is like, you know, biblical text. So there's compliments there, but I adore Midnight's. I think again, kind of like what I was talking about earlier. I think Midnight's does not always. And this is funny saying for an album that literally won Album of the Year, but I don't think it always gets the respect that it deserves uh, within the Taylor Swift canon and within people who love her. This album, I would say, is a huge smash actually with like the general public. I would say this is one of her most popular albums when it comes to just random people. But I think this is a phenomenally interesting record. Like above all else. I think there's always something very interesting going on. Like I loved how you talked about Maria, that like even in songs that don't really grab you, there's like something that you can cling on to, and there's like something kind of like attention grabbing. I think that if this album wasn't made by the biggest pop star in the world, I think it would be recognized a lot more as like a weird, kind of strange body of pop music. Like this album is as successful and as popular as it is because of the quality, but also because of the name Taylor Swift is attached to it. On its own, like this is not standard like pop general public friendly music at all. I mean, Antihero, the lead single, is a very strange song. She talks about like dreaming about her like hypothetical daughter-in-law murdering her for her money. She includes the words narcissism and altruism and congressman in a pop song. Like it's it's bizarre and there's like a lot of bizarre like imagery happening and there's weird twists and turns in the production. The song structures in some of these songs are, not traditional. Like there's like the labyrinth when like the beat goes out and like the vocal manipulation comes in, or like the start of Midnight Rain when she kind of sounds like Cher or like James Charles. Like there's moments that jolt you, and I find it to be in a lot of ways one of her most ambitious records. I think prior to Tortured Poets, I would have called it her most challenging record. In ways that, there's kind of strange musical choices happening, but also this kind of idea of what we've been talking about of like, I think this is an album that doesn't really give you the answers, which in a lot of her previous work, it does, like lore helps, but you listen to like Red and you know what's happening. And you listen to 99, you know what's happening. Like Fearless is so succinct and straightforward. I love this like opaque quality of Midnight's. I love that like Midnight's is something that Drew said living, breathing document. It's an album that I feel like changes and morphs the more that you kind of sit with it and look at it. The more information and context we get about what was happening when she was making it, the meaning of it kind of all changes. While like this era was happening, like she would release new songs and then like that would change our understanding of the other songs. Like I think an example of this is Lavender Haze. So when the album was first released and everybody was under the impression that she was in a super happy relationship, Lavender Haze seemed like such a sweet love song. It seemed like such like this, really lovely ode to just wanting to like stay in this kind of romantic connection with somebody and ignore all the outside bullshit, whatever. And then, when Jover happened, it's like, wait, Lavender Haze is actually like maybe a pretty sad song. And I think you can look at those opening lyrics because these opening lyrics can be viewed in two different ways. So the opening lyrics are obviously meet me at midnight, but then staring at the ceiling with you, oh, you don't ever say too much, and you don't really read into my melancholia. And when it was first released, I took that, and I think most people took that as, oh, like he's there to support her and he doesn't like read into her like being down on herself and like, he's not like distracting and he's ready to like he can step back and let her do herself, whatever. And then after the breakup, it's like, wait, that's kind of not really a good partner. Somebody who like doesn't engage with your feelings, doesn't really contribute to anything, makes you kind of feel alone. And it's just this image of her staring at the ceiling by herself, lost in her own depression, and he's just kind of sitting there. And I think that that is indicative of one of my favorite things about this record, that it evolves as you listen to it and as things change, what have you. Um, so yeah, that's something about the record I absolutely love. Thematically, like kind of what I was talking about earlier, one of my favorite things about it is the way that she talks about her rise to fame. It's something that she never really talked about before. She had only talked about, what it was like to be famous. And then in songs like Nothing New or The Lucky One, fears of what would happen in the future. But she never talked about what it's like to go through that grind and to be like a young person trying for this and it actually happening. And like that's an experience that so few people ever get to feel and go through. And I just find it so interesting to have such a phenomenal writer like her tell us what that's like. Um, and I think Midnight Rain, is an example of that for me, of this idea that like she is this person who was driven towards this thing and wasn't capable of being with somebody who was quote unquote sunshine and who just wanted a nice normal life. Uh, that her hometown was a wasteland. And, even though she got everything she wanted, there's a part of her who looks at pictures of this guy with his family and like kind of yearns for it a bit. That's just such a compelling picture. Or like You're on Your Own, Kid, which is so insanely moving. I know that we'll be talking about that when we get into the song breakdown, but to like hear her go through that of, going through this first heartbreak when you're a teenager, realizing that somebody doesn't like you back, and then that fueling her music, but then going through the realization that, like, wait, this is actually a dream a lot of people have. My dreams aren't rare. I find that to be a striking line. It's so loaded. Um, and then that bridge explosion of everything that she's went through, all the horrible shit, and the way that she's come out of it. I just find it fascinating. Lyrically, I love what's happening lyrically. I love the imagery on this record. That's something I always think about with Midnights. I feel like it's so evocative and the songs just conjure up such specific imagery in a way that is different from a lot of Taylor songs because I don't really think there are a lot of story songs happening here. Um, but like I love this imagery of her being like this gigantic monster in Antihero that's like she's like too big to hang out. She's just like lurching over your favorite city. Um, I love Drew knows I love Holiday Peppermint Candy on Midnight. I love Holiday
So
Peppermint
good.
Candy. Oh, I love me some Holiday Peppermint Candy. Um, I love the sassiness of the lyrics on Bejeweled. I love how clever Mastermind is. I love kind of the flirtiness of Paris. I think is so fun. I mean, would have, could have, should have is obviously, I think one of it's just a towering
Wow.
achievement. Dear Reader is a song I am a huge champion of and warrior for. That I think that's very overlooked as a song, and I think that like you should find another guiding light, but I shine so bright. Like there's that tension there that is so pivotal to this record. This tension of her. I love that song so much. It represents so much of what makes Midnight's interesting because it's her giving out all these pieces of advice in the verse and then she immediately contradicts herself in the chorus by saying, never take advice from someone who's falling apart, which in and of itself is a piece of advice. And then there's this, glorious breakdown in the bridge where she revels in her, how miserable she is. And she talks about, I'm so fucked up. Oh, there's always a drink in my hand. I'm lost. I'm hiding in plain sight. No one sees when you lose when you're playing solitaire. Like no one knows I'm going through this. My friends found friends who care. Um, and then the very end, you should find another guiding light, but I shine so bright. Like acknowledging that she should not be the person that people are looking to for help or advice or guidance. But she recognizes that she's bejeweled and that she shines so bright. And it's fascinating to me. This is one of my favorite things that she does. I love it when there's contradiction, when there's tension in the lyrics. It makes this character of Taylor Swift so interesting. This person who really, in a lot of ways, doesn't enjoy being famous and suffers a lot mentally because of it, but is still drawn to it and is still choosing it. It's so interesting to me. It's so much more interesting than just a song about being famous sucks because there's like that culpability that's a part of it. And it's like what we were talking about earlier. She doesn't let herself off easy in these songs, and she just builds upon that more and more in Tortured Poets. But like Antihero, the lead single is all about hating yourself. And like it's just I love it. The last thing I want to say is I love the title of the record. I love that it's called Midnights, and I love that this album sounds like what nighttime feels like. And this album is best listened to at night. I mean, I kiki with these songs in the day. Let me get you straight. But these songs hit different, hee hee, at night. Like they genuinely do. I had this horrible depressive like attack when I was in Mexico in 2023, in January on a vacation with my family. And like part of it was like we'd like been drinking all day. I was kind of like hungover out of it. And I was awake at like 2 a.m., 3 a.m. And I just put on my headphones and I listened to Antihero. And like the feeling of listening to that song, like by yourself at night in a room where it's dark and you're just alone with your thoughts is like fucked up. It's just a song that feels it's an album that feels nocturnal. And I love what you were saying, Maria, kind of saying that, as somebody who is removed from like the Taylor universe, that you also kind of don't really find it derivative. I've found that criticism so bizarre because melodically, I don't think it's anything like the pop albums of like 1989 Reputation or Lover. I think it has such a distinct sound that like sure other songs on those other albums have synths and they maybe have syncopated drums and whatever, but like there's such a specific feeling to the kind of like chill, moody quality of these songs that is missing in all those other like 1989 is such a big brash album and my God, Reputation is so defiant and Lover is all these pastel hues and then Midnight's is this dark, moody, twitchy kind of thing. I've just always found it to be such a lazy take, to be honest with you.
I think
It's
like
always annoyed me.
yeah, I think the problem is like I think people hear one example of overlap and immediately think that like it's a copycat, which
Yes.
like is so inaccurate for something like this. Because like Lavender Haze, for example, sounds so much like I Think He Knows from
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Lover.
yeah, yeah. Yes, yes, yes.
But I mean they're both saying completely different things, right?
And they
Right?
feel different.
Like
There's this like lightness
they
to I Think
feel
He
so
Knows. And
different.
Lavender Haze is immediately so heavy and dark and
Right.
sultry.
But it's like, can we not like like nuance, you know?
Well, yeah, and then kind of building off of that, then they're the brain dead idiots who say that Tortured Poet sounds just like Midnight's. What?
What?
Oh yeah, Fresh Out the Summer sounds just like Bejeweled. Yeah, it does. Like, okay, let's get brains,
No, true,
please.
actually.
I mean, like, oh
No,
my
I mean like
God. It pisses me
and
off.
it would make it so much nicer if like they were able to, but people just don't listen to things all the way through and they like to, pick at people who are on top. So it's like obviously the first song sounds not exactly, but like it has a very similar vibe to one of the songs on 2 albums ago or 3 albums ago. They're like immediately just like, oh no, lover nachos.
Yeah, but it's
But like, what?
like Midnight Rain couldn't fit on any Question couldn't fit on any other album. Like those songs don't exist on any other record. Even Karma, which is like I would say like the brightest moment, I don't think that exists in 1989. It doesn't feel like a 1989 song. Lyrically, it's so different. The melody sits different. The production is so it's Midnight's. It's its own thing.
It's also like interesting when people get irked by an artist making music that sounds like it's something that that artist would make
Yes!
because they're
Yeah.
making
Oh
it.
my God.
She just
Yep,
has to
eat that.
reinvent the
You just
wheel
ate it.
every time.
Like it's so silly because I think we actually talked about this recently, if I recall correctly. But like when Arctic Monkeys released Tranquility Base Hotel and Casino, people were so upset because it was such a an intense sonic shift from AM, which was so popular. Like that's got Do I Want to Know and Why'd You Only Call Me When You're High, which was like massively, massively popular. So people were like, "Oh, what the heck? Like this is so different." It's like, what do you want them to do? Like make AM2? Because then you'd be upset that they're making something that sounds exactly the same. So
You
Yeah.
gag on that. You yes, 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 yes.
gag it. So I mean, it's like, what? So would you want Taylor to make Lover 2? Do you want her to make Evermore 2.0,
Well, also it's
something more? Like, come on.
like this is the album that followed Folklore and Evermore though. Like
That's the other thing too. It's so different. We are in the woods, and then the second it's like, oh my God, we're this is so different from the Victorian ghost of the last two albums.
yeah,
It it, it, it
it's
doesn't make any
mind-boggling a
sense to me.
little, but
It's the laziest kind of criticism. I'm all
yeah.
for constructive criticism. Give it away, sure, whatever. But and it's I mean, I think every artist is like, oh, every stan is like, oh, my favorite artist is so mistreated. But there is this tendency with Taylor for the laziest, lowest kind of criticism. People latch onto
Right.
things that I just don't, I don't think that take and this criticism is really rooted in reality and is fueled by any kind of like well thought out thinking pattern. It's it's
Yeah.
Yeah.
lazy. It's lazy, it's stupid, it's dumb, and it's dull, and I hate it.
And to your point, I think what you said about
Gag
Antihero
it.
Levi was gag it. I think that was really interesting because Antihero was the lead single,
Yeah,
right?
lead
Yeah.
Okay.
single.
So like I hadn't thought of it in the way that you had just described it, of it like not really being a traditional like massive, massive pop hit because of like the narrative that it tells and like the specific words that she chooses to use in her songwriting and etc. Because I feel like there's kind of like a hive mind mentality of like, oh, well, it's like this Taylor Swift smash hit, so it's boring and dull and isn't deep. Like you could easily listen, like the general public could easily
Mm-hmm.
listen to a song that upon a further analysis is actually very interesting and unconventional. But, like Antihero could hit the ears of anybody and it's like, well, it's boring Taylor Swift slop, so it's basic and stupid, you know?
And it's such a it genuinely has. I mean, the "sexy baby" lyric is one of the strangest things of all
I mean,
time,
Crazy.
girl's so weird.
but I love it
So
because
weird.
it's true. Because sometimes you do feel, wait, everybody around me is hotter and younger than me, and I'm this gross, disgusting creature.
Didn't isn't there a like Selena Gomez lyric that like is on her new album that's like the same thing? Or I saw like she had made
Oh
merch
yeah,
or
she has a
something.
song that says like "younger and hotter than me."
Yeah, it's like everyone in the room is younger and hotter than me.
Oh,
Like, girl, don't put yourself down like that.
But like, I mean, within the context of, being a woman in like the entertainment industry where that likes to discard people, like builds
Right.
people up just to get discarded. I mean, it makes
Right.
sense,
Right.
why you would be feeling that way. And like,
Totally.
especially with, I think Taylor's position of like her fame has gotten in the way of like personal relationships and like people feel like they can't be close to her because of that. Like, I love this imagery. She plays with it a lot in like the anti-hero visuals on the tour, but also the music video of like her being like Godzilla and like she's like walking on like a small like set and like she's just smashing all like the buildings and I think that's such an interesting way to be like I literally am like too big to be a person. I
Right.
I find it a really cool visual metaphor.
Yeah.
Okay, are we gonna get into the Holy Trinity me
should we get
time?
into the Holy
Yeah.
Trinity gig?
Let's do
Okay,
it.
so first we're gonna talk about me's, our least favorite songs on the record. Drew, what is your me on midnights? Your mead nights.
My Mead Nights. This was probably the easiest me I've ever done for an album. There's literally only one song that I don't like on Midnights, and it's Sweet Nothing. Just don't like it. Always skip for me. Yeah.
You think it's a bad seed on
I've
the
never
surf?
vibed with it. I yeah, it's not a me type of song. I don't yeah. I genuinely can say I don't really like anything about it.
Oh, gag it.
And it's like one of the only Taylor Swift songs that I feel that way for. But like,
Okay.
yeah, this
Sweet
is just
nothing it
not for me.
is.
Yeah.
Okay, Maria, what's yours?
Okay. Well, I share the exact same thoughts as Drew does about my least favorite song, and I'm a little bit beside myself because Levi, you did kind of talk about it quite a bit. Um, but it honestly, everything that you pointed out about it, like really didn't sink in with me because like sonically, I just wasn't really with anything that was happening in the song. But it's Dear Reader.
Okay.
Is that a bomb? Is that bad?
I'm in kind of I'm like a outspoken advocate for Dear Reader.
Yeah.
Dear Reader has a small but mighty army. But it's not like you're not like saying like an all too well level kind of fan
Yeah,
fave
like
is.
there's definitely bigger moments that if I had chosen, it would have been World War III.
I mean, if you had chosen You're on Your Own Kid, it would have like there's just I mean it just would have been
Can you
not.
imagine?
Could you
I can.
imagine?
I've lived through it. I've lived through you choosing my favorite multiple times.
Well, hey, we already know that this it didn't happen with
It
Midnight,
didn't
so
happen.
we can take it as a win.
Gag it.
Gag it.
Gag it.
That's so funny though, and I think that shows like that this sonically is just so up my alley because like I love the production on Dear Reader. It's actually one of my favorite produced songs on the record. So it's just interesting, different strokes for different folks,
Yeah. It's
you
it's a,
know?
it's just a little bit it's too beep boop electronic. It just doesn't work for me. I understand what's going on, but I had a hard time listening to it. I'm not gonna lie.
Dear reader, like walking to the grocery store at like 8 p.m. on like a Sunday night in October, early November.
Ooh, I'll
Turned
have to
out
do
crazy.
that.
Yeah, Maria's really gonna be doing that. I will say there are
Wait, I'm gonna
times
put
where
that in
I've
my
like
cal.
been like walking home from like a bar by myself and like it's night and I'll sing the bridge to myself and I'm like, oh my God, like I literally am wandering through these nights. Like that literally is what I'm
That's so
doing.
dreamy though.
It's also I also think
It's
part of
so
it is
good.
like that's a song I heavily relate to. Um, I see a lot of myself in that song. And yeah, so I think that's part of it, the kind of attachment to it. But that's fair. I mean, I know a lot of people don't vibe with it, so you're not alone.
Thank you. What's
Okay,
yours?
well, mine is this is hard, honestly. I'm gonna go with Glitch. Glitch is just a moment that I like it. I like listening to it. I
It's
just
cute.
it's cute. It's cute. But Gorgeous is gonna, devour cute. Um, and like I will say the other contender for me was Vigilante Shit. But the thing about Vigilante Shit is like I feel like that song exists not really as a song, but more of a statement and like the sensation of listening to it for the first time and like being like, oh my God, she's reported Scooter Braun to the FBI. Like just that sensation alone and the gaggery of that, it can't be the me because of that. Even though like as a song, I feel like it existed just for her to say that and for her to do a slutty little dance on the tour. But
Yeah. I
but so
think if I had
it's
heard
glitch
this,
for
if
me.
this song had come out in a time where maybe I was like, maybe it was like Haylor time and I wasn't as open-minded about Taylor Swift. If I heard the first line, draw the cat eye sharp enough to kill a man, I would have skipped it and probably blocked it from Spotify and never, like, I wouldn't have tolerated it, you know? But here
You
we
wouldn't
are.
have tolerated.
But yeah, we're mature, so we're accepting it.
She just wanted to pretend to be Billie Eilish for a second. Just let her be silly.
She was
That
like,
tour
you
performance was
should see me in
everything
a
though.
crown."
The tour performances, I mean, she's
I
hot.
it's like kind of like middle for me. Like I don't
Oh, really?
yeah, like I fuck with it.
See, but the thing about it is like I listen to it every time I listen to the album because like it makes me laugh. I just think it's funny because I she's described that song as like a revenge fantasy. I think she did it. Like I think she reported him. Like I 1,000 I would bet you my life savings that I think that she reported him because I think she's a crazy person and I think she says, "Oh my God, yeah, like this is so crazy that I like thinking of doing this." She did it. no doubt in my mind. She was calling the hotline every single day, being like, "Look at Scooter Braun, look at Scooter Braun, look at Scooter Braun." I, and it makes me laugh. It's the part of her I love.
Yeah.
Okay, Holy Trinity, three favorite songs. Drew, get it,
Me
hit it,
first.
go.
Okay. Uh, my three was also, I know we've kind of referenced how the three was the hardest. My three was also the hardest for me. Um, so I'm just gonna go with one that I like personally just like love. Anytime it comes on, I'm here for it. It's Hits Different.
Mm,
Gag it. My number two, uh, very special song, Labyrinth. Obsessed.
yeah, you're Labyrinth boy.
Hearing the drop in the outro, for the first time was it's insane. And I get this same kind of chills still, like listening to it. Like if I can like be on a walk and be walking on rhythm to where the it will drop, it like will send chills down my spine. Um and then my number one, I mean, I genuinely think this is my favorite Taylor Swift song of all time. It's You're on Your Own, Kid. I
Yeah.
mean, like, every line is perfect. Like, it's such a Taylor Swift song, but it's like, I don't know, like, there's just something like special about it that like no other Taylor Swift song has. It's everything. It's like, there's kind of like no words. So yeah, that's my 20.
Okay,
Well,
incredible. Maria, gag it.
Whoa.
gag it. Okay. So yeah, this song sort of for me was really hard. I was doing it while I was on FaceTime with one of my friends, and I was just like, "Oh, girl, what do I do?" And she's like, "Girl, I can't make this decision for you. It's your opinions." I was just like struggling so hard. Like I wanted someone else to tell me what I liked the most. This is really hard, and there's songs that I really, really, really like that just like didn't make it in, and I'm just like having a really hard time accepting it, but it's okay. It's fine. 'Cause the moments that did make my top three, I think are just like so once in a lifetime moments of musicianship that only Taylor Swift is capable of. And like only Taylor Swift has the ability to like make you feel this level of like catharsis and like it's just like so unique. It's whatever. So so my number three is Bigger Than the Whole Sky.
Oh,
Oh,
oh, gag that right now.
gag that.
Gag it. So
Maria,
that's
are
my
you
number
familiar
three.
with like the lore of that song?
Um, I'll no, no.
Oh,
So, okay.
we're gonna bring it down.
Well, so obviously it's a heavy song, as you
Yeah,
know, as a
yeah.
listener. So that song is like it's never been confirmed what it's about, but like immediately upon its release, it like kind of became this like resonating moment for people, women who've experienced miscarriages. And that's like the most common interpretation of that song.
Oh, okay.
When like you were more than just a short time, you know, what could have been, should have been, what would have been, could have been, what should have been you. This idea of like intense grief over like something that maybe never really happened. Um, that is like the most common interpretation of that song. And around the time of this record, one of her closest friends from childhood experienced a miscarriage and like posted about it publicly.
Oh,
And the only time she's ever sung the song is in Brazil when she was performing during Heat Wave, and there was a fan that died. I don't know if you're familiar with this, that died at the
yeah,
concert, and she performed it the following date, which I never thought she would sing the song live. So, but please talk
yeah,
about it however you want. I just wanted to, if in case you didn't know the context, wanted to provide it.
yeah. No, well, thank you. Yeah, I really appreciate that. And yeah, I mean, obviously, again, coming from somewhat of like a surface level perspective on the songs and enjoying them. Like my kind of like knee-jerk reaction to it was really just like this the sentiment in general of like mourning something that could have been, or even like a past iteration of yourself or past experiences, things that like that will never happen again, people you'll never talk to again. So yeah, that's I mean like that's my appreciation for it without having necessarily gone like line by line, and obviously I didn't know the
Hmm.
kind of rumored or heavily interpreted version of what the song's about. But
Also,
yeah,
just the production is so beautiful. Like the
It's
acoustic
so good.
guitars over the synths, I think is just so gorgeous.
yeah,
It's
yeah. No, it's
everything.
beautiful. It's so beautiful. So my number two is Would've, Could've, Should've.
Gag it!
Gag it.
Hmm.
Oh, gag that!
Oh,
Yeah. I feel like okay, this might sound crazy, but I feel like this song has kind of like that rolling kind of beat underneath it that really feels like has some sort of like I don't know, level like of agility to it. Like you feel like you need to be like jogging or running while you're listening to it
yeah.
because it's got such like that motivation in the
Hmm.
tempo.
Yeah.
So like this kind of feels like it's almost like maybe it's Taylor's running up that hill.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
That's a gaggery.
Like is that crazy to say? Like I feel like it's kind of got the
I get
same,
what you mean. That like driving kind of beat.
you
Yeah,
know what I
I know
mean?
exactly what you mean.
that like outro
Towards the
or
end when
like
it's just was just going crazy. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah. So
I, hearing about would have, could have, should have. So not listening to it, waking up, Levi going, "No, Drew, you can't go to work without listening to at least track 19." I was like, "Oh,
Well,
right."
because that's the thing. It's track 19.
She's crazy. Also, like we never talked about Chats and Reacts, the famous
Our
swifties.
favorite,
Their Midnight's reaction. If you get into this, you gotta watch the Midnight's reaction. It's so good.
it's fuzzy.
But
And
like
when they get,
imagine that that's what Levi was probably
I,
doing in his
it,
phone.
I mean, like that's what was happening, because I feel like I don't know if I've said this before. Dear John, which is the song that she wrote about John Mayer and Speak Now, is in my top three Taylor Swift songs of all time, and it is one that like floats around as like my favorite. And to hear her revisit that experience as a grown person who's the same age as John Mayer was, it's yeah. That's
yeah.
an amazing pick,
Crazy.
Maria. And actually, funny, Aaron Dessner at the time said that that's his. I mean, I don't know if it's changed with the release of Tortured Poets, but at the time he said that's his favorite song that they'd ever done together.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Crazy. Okay. So my number one. Any guesses?
Okay, my guess is
Karma with
Maroon.
Ice Spice.
I mean,
So
Karma is that girl like.
Karma is that girl
Gra.
like. So one of you was right.
Is it Maroon?
Yes.
Yes!
Hmm.
Maria, your
We
top
love
three is
Maroon.
great. You have a great top three.
Ah, yes. Thank you. I'm flipping my hair from side to side because I'm so pleased with my top three.
Look at you.
I'm describing it for our listeners, so because they can't see us. Also, speaking of which, I realized halfway through that the background that I chose, that you would be able to see if you're following us on Instagram, I accidentally chose a version that is an AI expansion of one of the covers, because I realized it and I'm like, wait, why is the tile so weird? But the photo is like one of the back covers, and it's like the AI expanded version. So,
Oh my God,
sorry.
yeah, it's literally on my wall. I'm looking at it right now. Yeah, it's so just not that large of a picture.
I know, I'm like, where the heck did I even find this? Like, ugh, society, like I hate that AI photos are just like on Google Images with like no warning. So that's scary, but whatever. Maroon's my number one. It's so good. I am just so obsessed with the lyrical structure, how she's describing all of these things, and it's all different versions of like talking about the color red. Like it's just so good. It's so good.
Oh, you've
So,
never been more right in your entire life.
You're so right.
You've literally just
thanks.
never been better ever.
Oh my gosh. That's so funny because like let's maybe not like the fact that I said the most damning thing at the very start of the episode, like we've already forgotten about it, you know? Because
Yeah.
the top three is so good.
Because maroon, I mean, it's maroon. Like it's maroon.
It was so Scarlet, it was maroon.
Uh,
Like
yeah.
maroon is that girl like.
Maroon is my bestie.
Yeah.
Okay.
Facts.
Well, I cannot wait for Levi's, so we have to get to Levi's
Yeah,
now.
we got to get into that Levi top
Okay,
three
so
game.
my three is really hard. Um, I know what I'm gonna go with, but I want to just give my runner-up shout outs to uh Dear Reader was a runner-up. Woulda, coulda, shoulda. And then the one that almost came close, which was for a long time was a solid number three, a song that I love so much is Bejeweled. I love Bejeweled so much, but I have to go with Antihero for number three. I think Antihero is one of the best songs she's ever written. I think lyrically it's incredible. It's funny, it's sad, it's weird, it's heartbreaking. There's just so much happening. The way that she does her like internal rhyme schemes is crazy on the pre-choruses. And then maybe like one of my favorite Taylor Swift lyrics of all time is I'll stare directly at the sun but never in the mirror. I think that's like maybe the best way I've ever heard somebody describe like self-loathing. And it's a line that the second I heard it, like I felt it in the deepest part of myself. So love you, Miss Antihero. And I also picked it because
Yes.
it just feels so singularly Midnight's out of all the other options that I had. My number two, my number two is So Scarlet. It was Maroon.
Yes.
Maroon.
Maria, I did you know that I'm a Maroon shooter?
I mean, I assumed that you would have been obsessed with it, but I didn't know it was like
I am a
top of the
Maroon,
album.
yeah, and like for this very first listen, I was like, oh, Maroon is that girl.
Yeah.
The chorus structure of this song is crazy
Yeah. I
because
think I
you
might have been listening to the album for the first time, like, you know, the night of, and I probably listened to Maroon and I was like, oh, and then hit the pillow. But yeah,
like
sorry, go on.
the melody of like the and I chose you, the one like that's so beautiful, and then just this blood rush of like word vomit, and like you said, it's all these different things that are different shades, and like the rust that grew between telephones. Are you fucking kidding me? And then there's another lyric of kind of like what I was talking about with Lavender Haze, this like thing that like could be a bad thing or a good thing, like this kind of ambiguous moment. To
Yeah.
me, it's um the burgundy on my t-shirt when you splashed your wine into me and how the blood rushed into my cheeks. That could be like a silly like, oh, like you like bumped your wine into me and like I'm like, like blushing or whatever. But it also could be like somebody throwing a drink on you
Yeah.
and like
Oh,
you being like embarrassed or hurt. Like
it's so
it's
good.
and she doesn't say what it is. You don't know which one it is. And either way, either one works within the context of the song. And
Yeah.
this like I love like in the second verse when it's carnations you thought were roses because like carnations are a very cheap flower. Roses are obviously a very expensive flower. It's so good. I mean, imagine how I felt when I realized that was probably about Maddie Healy. I I can't because the common interpretation was it was like a Jake Gyllenhaal song because like the red tie-in and all that stuff. But I was like, yeah, I don't feel like he would like be like having a roommate. Like that doesn't make sense. And like incense doesn't really feel like Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh,
even demons can spawn beauty, I guess, is the lesson.
oh,
Because you can look at Matty Healy and think of this.
it's
Well,
crazy.
my number one is also in my top three Taylor songs of all time that rotates. Sometimes it's my favorite song. It's also You're on Your Own Kid. It's just such a just it's just special. Like
Yeah.
it's just a special song. Um, I experience a sense of catharsis every time I listen to it.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a song that like I learned something about myself. And like it's like I look to that song. The amount of times I've talked about that song in therapy is insane. My therapist knows it. I would swear to God, line by line by now. Um, it's perfect. And it's just so special. And it makes me feel sad, but also hopeful, which I think is like the best kind of feeling that you can feel. Um, and to me, like it's something I tell myself when I need to be like reminded of like my resilience. Cause like I love that it evolves over the song of not being like starts out her loneliness is like a horrible thing. You know, she's alone, she's on her own. But then at the end, it's like, well, you've actually always been there for yourself. You're the person who's got you through everything. When you couldn't count on anybody, you counted on yourself. You can face
Ugh.
this. You're on your own, kid. You always have been.
Um,
Ah,
something
It,
that
it's
I'm I just like wanted to ask a question because like I as again like as an outsider I was like potentially getting this vibe, but I'm
can
curious
you
what you
ask us
guys
a
think.
question?
Yeah,
yeah.
can I ask you guys
Can
a
you ask
question?
us a question? Okay.
So would you say, or like maybe I'll make it a little bit more broad, like what would you say is like the ultimate Taylor Swift mission statement song? Like what song do you think is like completely
Mm,
encompassing of like her entire discography is like maybe the best reflection of like the kind of art that you get when you listen to her. Like for me personally, I think when you're looking at Lady Gaga, I think Marry the Night is like the ultimate Lady Gaga mission statement song personally. Like if not the song, like one of them. But I don't know. How
Like
would you guys,
quintessential almost, or like
yeah. Like
well,
my
if you
initial
could pick,
thought was long live.
I think that was one of my thoughts as well. That's not
okay.
the one I think I'm gonna go with, but explain yourself with Long Live.
Well, because like I think her whole mission statement comes from her connection to like the people that like love her and I think a lot when we talked about like tortured poets, I I find that album so complex because she talks a lot about her relationship to like her fans, but like fans in quotation marks. And I feel like maybe like something like All Too Well would have been like a mission statement before this whole like Eras tour, before like kind of what Levi was mentioning earlier, her reaching like this new peak. But now I'm kind of like the Swifties that no long live, they know her mission. They like know what she's presenting as an artist. Like Speak Now, I feel like as an album, which like Levi obviously like Speak Now Warrior, me and
Yeah, speak.
Levi.
Yeah.
But like I feel like that's not an album that gets, praise from the people who maybe she writes about in like Tortured Poets, who like
Mm,
don't really take her very seriously. And I feel like you get a lot from like Long Live about her connection to like her fans. So that's what I would say. But
I
I'm
think that's a
interested
great
to see what Levi
answer.
would say.
So I would maybe this is maybe basic, but I would say it's all too well. And the
Yeah.
reason I would say that is because I would say at her core, if I have to like put down what Taylor Swift writes about into one word, I wouldn't say love. I would say it's about memory. She is like the great writer of what it feels like to remember something. And from the very first song, Tim McGraw, she ever released, it's a song all about memories. She's describing all these different memories, and then she's begging him to remember her in a certain way. Like that to me has been kind of the core mission statement. And all too well, I mean, it's this incredibly heartbreaking song about losing somebody, but it's a song about remembering. That's what it really is. It's a song about the things that you kind of wish that you could forget, but that you remember all too well. And I think it has all the characteristics that you want in a Taylor Swift song. It has the incredible lyrics. It has the relatability. It has the bridge to end all bridges. It has the sense of catharsis. And it's about this thing that she's been writing about her entire life. I mean, her entire life is all about things happening to her and her reflecting on them in her songs. So that's I would say that for that reason.
Wow. Well, thank you. I was thinking about that like a whole lot while I was listening to this, being like, I'm curious if maybe that mission statement is somewhere here or if it's like
Mm.
very apparent in her earlier work. But
I mean,
yeah.
I think you could make the case that it's you're on your own, kid, though.
Yeah,
1000%.
Yeah.
totally.
I think that to me is like it's so canon, it's not even funny.
Yeah.
It's so essential to who she is, I would say.
Hmm. Nice. Well, thanks. Appreciate
Well,
that run through.
I feel like we've talked so much, which is probably mostly my fault. Let's break out these utensils and let's get a scoring. Let's get the score cooking. Does
A
anyone know that
cooking.
reference?
Yeah, roast a
Let's get this
cooking
roasted
girl.
Let's do
cooking.
cooking. Okay, Drew. Drew Fork, what do we give him Midnights?
Uh, I'm gonna give it a 9.9.
Hey, hey, hey. 9.9. I think that's maybe the first time anyone's ever been given a 9.9. Because there's been multiple 9.8s, but yeah, I think that's the first 9.9 ever given.
Whoa.
Okay, Maria,
Whoa.
Okay, I'm gonna give Midnight's an 8.5.
respectable. Metacritic score. That's the
Bloat.
Metacritic score. You're in tune with the humanity.
I'm in tune.
My, I mean, I think we know what I'm doing. 10. Okay, that is an
My
average
mom,
score.
low key, my mom was dragging you this weekend for
Yeah,
giving everything tens.
my mom read me, your mom read me to
I mean,
filth. Karen, I know you're listening. Karen, you had a lot to say about me the other day in the press.
what's good, Karen?
What's good, Karen? What's good? Because Karen was talking about our average scores, and um, she was like, "Oh yeah, you just go 10," and then Maria, I think, gives everything. What was your average score? Like
She said
7?
like 7.1.
And then Drew's was even
And then she
Drew's like
said mine
6.
was 6.5.
Yeah,
Which, like,
but
I don't think I've rated something that low
no, I
before.
don't think you have either. But I'm just apparently popping out 10s to everything.
Yeah. Oh my
So
gosh.
Karen, I know you're going to be in the YouTube comments. You defend yourself. Meet me at midnight, Karen. How about that?
Queen, the queen, honey.
Yeah, no, we love you, the
Queen
queen,
honey.
honey. Miss Treya.
Mystery. If you know, you know.
If you know, you know, and if you know, you know, and if you don't, I honestly feel bad for you.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Okay.
Drew, what are we doing next week?
So next week I'm really excited. We're doing an artist that I have loved for a while and an album that I've really stuck with for a really long time. And I'm really excited to talk about it with the Pop Girlies. We're gonna do Older by Lizzie McAlpine, and we're also gonna do she did a deluxe version that's called Older and Wiser. So we'll do all of those songs included.
Woo!
Yay.
Yay! Okay, well, thank you all for being Midnight's Truthers. This was so much fun. I love talking about it.
Yes. It was so
It's
much
the
fun.
best.
Okay.
All
Well,
right,
Maria,
Dante.
Since you do yours, since we always apparently, even though I never have, take yours, you do yours.
We're the
Um,
anti-heroes.
did just took one.
Drew literally just
Oh,
did it. Yeah.
yeah. Okay. Well, I don't know. I'm probably just gonna go. I'm gonna go start some shit and tell you how it ends.
Well,
Okay.
I just gotta go make this whole place shimmer. That's what I have to do. Because
You have
what's
to
a
go let yourself bejeweled.
I have to let myself be jeweled, because I mean, I miss you, Pop Girlies Nation, but I miss sparkling.
Yeah. Well, I'm probably also gonna go have some chicken tenders with ketchup and seemingly ranch.
Oh! Oh, 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 oh!
Wait,
Maria
are
has
you
like probably like
actually? That would be so gaggy if you were actually eating
I
chicken
wish I
tenders.
actually was, but no, I was just
Maria has like
referencing.
a Google Doc full of like all possible puns that she could be using.
I studied
Seemingly
for
ranch is so good.
Seemingly
I
ranch
actually
is
just
so
I
good.
didn't write that down beforehand. I actually just thought of it now. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Okay, Pen.
Okay, glitch. Going. Bye.
Oh,
Ooh, that was
okay.
boo-boo.
That was rotten.
Yeah, that was not your best. You're normally really good at these two. That was not your
Yeah.
best work. Do you want round two?
I'm gonna go be on my own kid.
Well, there we go.
And
Also
then
rotten.
we and then we be on our own, kid.
Never forget,
I'm a
karma is a top
mastermind.
girly.
I'm
Okay.
thinking thoughts and spending lots.
Okay,
Bye.
bye,
Bye.
Shanti.